thanks for, taking some time out of your busy COVID-19 lifestyle to illuminate us on the wonders of wine tasting. We were saying, like, we've been with you for like 10 years at the gallery, and still the mysteries of wine are still large for me.
Well,
anyways, it's like we like what we like. You tell us which rosés to drink, and that's good enough for us. But hey, we've got a little bit more time on our hands, so maybe we can learn something from you today.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little things that over time you'll pick them up from other people all over the place that it's like, oh, I didn't know that would happen, or that explains why I didn't get this or whatever. And once you understand what's happening, it'll maybe take you a little while, but you will start, when you're drinking wine sometimes, it'll actually maybe stick in your head, and you'll actually try and do something that will replicate when you experience that the first time. And if it works for you again, you'll go aha, and you will then you'll internalize that, and you'll do it in the future, and it will make appreciating wine better. And you'll also be able to pick out wines better because you'll recognize things that are, oh, that isn't good when I smell that or taste it. So that's it, just practice. So
practice. So how long have you been facilitating this wine tasting for the gallery?
Well, it's 1 year less than Jazz in the Valley's age is. So
wow.
23, 22, whatever the years are. We started in the second year. So we've done this, the Jazz in the Valley, Wine in the Valley, for 21 or 22 years. So
you've taught a lot of people how to drink wine.
Well, some. But the interesting thing is over all those years in doing that, I learned, number one, you better know what you're saying. You don't want to act like you know what you're saying and then, oops, I thought I knew what I was doing. I try to always tell people what I know for sure, and then don't go out on a limb and say something that you can't back up. But if you do this enough times with a number of similar people or same people, when they come in, and Karen Jennison will say, pick me out a case of wine. I want white wines. You know what I like. Just pick them out. And if you do it right, they will keep coming back and asking you to do that for them. So that's one thing that, you just got to catalog. And I can't remember what I did yesterday or said to my wife earlier in the day, but I can pull out of my mind this little note card that says, I know what she likes. So that's just something that over time you can maybe catalog that away, and that's why they keep coming back and asking you for it. So.
Well, I think that's pretty particular to you, Joe. I think you make that pretty special. I don't think that's something everybody does. So I know I appreciate it when you show up with wine for me, because I don't know any better. So I know everybody else does too.
Well, that's just a matter of, do we have anything that I paid less than $5 for? That's one Sarah will like.
He's got your card figured out, Sarah. but that's not what we're drinking today, right, Joe?
No,
a little bit nicer.
No. However, the rosé, that'll be the first one we taste. The little, light pink one. That is from Mercer. It is basically the same wine as that Mercer Canyons wine that we had last year. Way to jump the gun there.
Mercer Canyon.
I'm listening. I can drink it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you how to do that. Wait, hold on.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I brushed my teeth. I had some bread. I
There's a little spinach up in your top tooth.
No, there's not. Don't listen to him, Monica.
Can I swish it out with the wine?
Yeah, that'll work. Don't
There
worry
you
about it. This is the New Year's vintage of Mercer's. It's a 2018 Mercer Canyons. Last year was called. This year's just Mercer Estates. Pretty much it's 100% Grenache, which is if you're into French rosés in the region of Provence, that's one of the big rosé areas in France. That's where Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have their Miraval vineyard that makes only rosé. Little factoid for you. Okay. It's what you can drop at parties, name drop at parties.
Do you think they split it later? Anyway, keep going. Tell us about the wine.
Yeah, they aren't talking about splitting it. I think they're in too deep or they're making way too much money. One of the two.
The second one.
Grenache really does make some of the best rosés in the world, and they're usually light in body, not real deep, heavy. They're usually done in a very light color when you do them, just a light pink salmon color. And when the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have a good glass of wine to drink it out of. I mean, good glass.
Okay, can I be drinking while you're talking?
Yeah, you can.
Started, and I'm getting really jealous.
Sarah,
Okay.
you.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Okay, so these, what you have, are better than jelly glasses. All right? And wine glasses are shaped, and believe it or not, they have wine glasses shaped for almost every kind of wine that there is, a grape that there is. But they're shaped to, when you smell wine, they're shaped to direct those aromas to your nose when you have the wine glass right down under your nose. And it's amazing if you ever had the chance, which I was lucky enough to have one with Maximilian Riedel, the son of the founder of the Riedel Glass Company. We tasted 6 different kinds of wine, one of each of their wine glasses designed for it versus the kind of a cheap wine glass you'd get at the Palace Cafe or something like that. You know, a little bit like we use on Paint Ellensburg from the college. Those dinky little ass glasses.
You're digging yourself a hole, Joe. Just keep going. Tell us.
See, this is the stories I get to talking. However, one thing I'm noticing on your glass right there, Sarah, which we buy cheap glasses for our stuff like that for Paint Ellensburg. Notice that little rim around the top of the glass?
Uh-huh.
That's a sign of an inexpensive glass. That's on there for strength purposes. And it interferes with the flow of those aromatics up the side of the glass. So your better wine glasses don't have any little rounded edge like that. They come right up and in. Just.
Oh, that's so interesting. I would have thought, just clearly not knowing anything about tasting wine, I would have assumed something that looked thin would somehow, for some reason, equate to being cheaper. But now I understand what you're saying. These are built for strength, and those are more
those at parties, you know.
Yeah, you want to use those when you got guests.
Right.
But and again, where you would really it hits you like crazy, like you wouldn't believe it, is if you had a controlled tasting where you had basically the same bowl shape, but with and without that lip on the top. And you will be able to smell the difference. You wouldn't think you could, but we all did who went through this course with them. Okay, so when you've got a good glass, you put in your wine, and the first thing you want to do is to look at the wine, and you want to look at the color. And a lot of times they'll say, put a piece of white paper up behind it, so you can get a neutral background. So you can look at it and see the depth of the color. If it's an older wine, you'll start seeing, yeah, see, it's perfect from top to bottom, no change in the color. If you had an older wine, sometimes you would see, especially in a red wine, right around the top edge of the top of the wine in your glass, right around the outer edge. On a red wine, you could notice it doesn't look red. It looks kind of brown, like a brick, like a red brick. That's an older wine. It starts to lose its color probably
Mm.
after 5 or 6 years. It'll start acquiring a little bit of a brownish color. And that's one of the things you can look at if you know you got a certain vintage of a wine and you want to see how much, well, what signs of age is it showing. Look for that color. Doesn't necessarily tell you what it's going to taste like or anything, but it'll just tell you that it's a little bit of an older wine. Swirl your wine. You develop that little rotation so you can get it going, and then don't start talking while you're doing it like I do, because there it'll go all over everything. I've done that more than a dozen times.
And
What's
is
that?
is the amount that you gave us, is that like the legit pour size?
That's a little bit bigger than a pour. A regular pour is about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces.
Okay.
This is probably 4.5 to 5 ounces is what I poured you.
That's good.
Almost like
I
a
think we
restaurant
can
pour.
manage it.
Yeah.
Monica and I can handle it. We'll
Yeah.
sacrifice for the group.
Whoops, I just did it. There it goes. Whoa. We're gonna have fun tonight. So what you're doing, what are you doing? You gotta tell me what you're doing when you swirl the wine.
Well, I swirled it. Is that supposed to aerate it? I'm making stuff up now. And then and then you smell it right then and kind of get a sense of what it's putting off.
Yeah, when you're swirling it, that releases aromatics, and when the wine goes down the side of the glass, those drops that are the little coating on the inside of the glass, that helps release those aromatics up the side of the glass to your nose. So yeah, that's what you do to get your best nose off of it.
And do the pink and white wines, do you look for the legs there? Am I looking at legs?
You can look for legs on any wine you want. And what you do is maybe turn it sideways,
I know something.
get it up to there, and then just kind of roll it around on a turn, and then quickly take it down and look and see if it sticks on the side. Oh, you aren't going to see much. You don't see much sticking on the side, right?
But do you want it to or do you not want it to? What's the good one?
What the legs on a glass of wine tell you? Only two things. It tells you how much alcohol's in it or how much sugar's in it.
Really?
That's all it tells you. Doesn't tell you if it's good,
How?
bad, or otherwise.
I thought that legs were important, but apparently they're not. Oh, they will, because you don't
They
want
will.
sugar.
If you know the amount of sugar, you know that if it's higher than lower, it's going to be sweeter. Thus,
Oh.
think of a dessert white wine. Usually they're kind of almost real viscous and sticky and thicker.
Oh.
Okay, they got a ton of sugar. If you did that with one of those legs would be on there forever, because it's taking
Ah.
forever for them to go down, because they're real thick and sticky. They stick to the side of the glass.
Okay, so this doesn't have a lot of sugar.
No, it's got zero, as a matter of fact.
It
It all the sugars that it started with got turned into alcohol when it was fermented.
Swedish? Not
You might think it's sweet. It's actually very, very dry. What you are smelling and or tasting is the fruit that's in the wine, and the type of fruit that you taste or you think you're tasting maybe triggers a memory. You've had this kind of fruit. It reminds me of cherries, or it reminds me of raspberries, and those that you've eaten that fruit and you go, oh, in your mind, that was a little sweet.
All right, let's play guess the fruit.
Okay, now another thing I want you to do, you're smelling right now. Everybody take their smell. Take their smell. Now, take it away from your nose and don't smell it. Now, do you have a smell? I think you got some sort of smell, but now go back and smell it again right now.
It's different.
Yeah, it's not near as big of a smell, is it?
No.
No. You know why? Any idea why that happens?
Stop swirling it.
Nope.
Good guess.
Okay, you got all these little receptors in your nose, and what you've done is when you take that big smell, think of it as kind of like you overload those receptors with a big hit of aromatics, and they basically close off. They kind of swell up and they close off because they got hit with that. Now, as we're sitting here talking, if you wait about 45 seconds go by, and then you go back and you smell it again, you should return to roughly what you smelled before the first one. That should come
Pretty
back.
lightheaded.
I know, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
Smells like wine. Delicious.
Okay, but that's what's happening. It's a chemical reaction. Your nose is kind of shutting down, and then it's got to have time to kind of release and let those receptors become able to smell again.
Okay, when I smell it, I'm smelling apricot and cotton candy.
Oh, yeah, okay, cotton candy, I definitely get that. I have a hard time picking out a specific fruit with this, but yeah, you're right, that it's just a kind of a candied smell that maybe you got when you had cotton candy when you were a kid.
I got it.
There you go.
What about you, Sarah?
It smells like wine and it smells delicious.
This is probably less than 0.2% residual sugar. That's why it's called dry. 0 to 1% is dry. 1 to 3 is called off dry, and above 3 is called sweet. So go ahead.
Wines, what rosés can we find in our wine sale? Like what can
We have 2 rosés this year, the Mercer Winery and the
very good. I'm definitely buying some of that. Thank you.
okay. And that's a pretty good value red. We've used it at the bars, the First Friday bars, for a while now. The other one we have is the Palencia Monarch.
Oh,
It's a little more expensive. To me, it does have a wee bit more sugar in it. It does taste a little sweeter. It's made from a Pinot Noir grape. It does have more fruit flavor and aromas than this particular one has. So as with all wines, every wine tastes different than every other wine. Very small amounts sometimes there's big differences. So those are the 2 rosés we have this year.
sold.
So buy some of each of those. I know you like rosés. Buy some.
I don't know what this is yet. I tasted it already. I like it. Can
It's
you?
kind of like bubbly.
So tell us about what our white is today.
Well, back to liking bubbly.
Oh, yes.
The Monarcha Rosé, he always has a little bit of spritziness in his white and rosé. So, and it's got a wee bit of sugar, maybe 0.9%. It's right at the top end of dry. You, Sarah, I think would really like the Monarcha one, because you're going to have both your bubbly and you're going to have a wee bit of sweetness to it.
You know me so well, Joe. I was thinking, oh, that sounds perfect for me. So
I'm developing a note card on you.
Yeah.
Only everyone had a Joe.
Right.
You're making yourself available, right, to anyone who has questions about the wines on our.
That's what I would say I would do. You could call Joe if you want to find out what he thinks is good. And I will definitely say, get in every winery's name to each person that asks.
I'm gonna
make sure, don't call Joe if you only have like a few minutes. Like, you need time. Like, he's gonna cover all the stuff that you might like. So, because we have so many great options, but I still want to, I want to start drinking more of this. So will you please tell me that?
Okay, wine number 2. This one will have more aromatics, at least I find it does. They're stronger. This is the Palencia Albario, one of my favorite white wines. Ooh. So if you ask me which Albario out of the 4 that you have, which one would you buy? And I'd say, well, I'd buy them all, but I particularly like the Palencia. And we got 4 cases. That's all we're able to get. They always run out of that. So you should buy some of that too, if you like.
Short supply. All right.
Yeah. Albario is a grape that got its name made for it in Spain. It's from the Rías Baixas region of Spain. That's right up above where Portugal ends. It's kind of like Spain steps out and has this little step out above Portugal. And that's where they grow this white grape. So it's got a much stronger nose to me, and it's definitely
It is.
fruits.
It's a lot stronger than the rosé.
Smells like apricot and cotton candy.
Okay, apricot's good. I call it peach. You could also do probably some mango or papaya notes could be in there.
I like
People,
papaya.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the mango or papaya, kind of that stronger fruit a little bit, not quite as subtle, is something that might be of apricot or something.
Oh, like a really ripe cantaloupe.
Or something, yeah. Yeah, it's ripe fruit in this glass. Now, when you taste it, you're going to get a little bit more of a zing all the way from the front to the back of the tongue. It's a little zing.
Yeah, I can feel that in there.
That's a
So
little more.
why is that? Is it because it's hitting different taste buds because of what's in there?
It's a higher acidity level than this rosé had. The higher acid you have, the more it. I just like to call it a little zinginess on the finish.
So.
Now,
And what other whites have you selected for us in the sale?
we've got a lot more whites than rosés. As Sarah has craftily put onto the website, what do we got, about 12 whites in there? 10 to 12? We have 4 different Albariños.
The website, which you can find like we're going to put it on our homepage. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
gallery-1.org. Go there. You'll be able to go directly to the sale.
Yep.
Right. You can shop by winery. You can shop by type of wine. We're going to have some special bottles on there as well. So you'll have all sorts of options and ways for however you prefer to shop. We've made that doable for you.
Or you could just call Joe.
That's right. Forget shopping. Call Joe. He'll hook you up.
It'll be a lot quicker if you go to the website.
Yes, it will definitely take less time, but who knows? You know, if you really want a directed information, you can call Joe. We're just gonna put his phone number right across the top, like really big. Joe.
Running at the bottom of this video the whole time.
Right.
They ought to do a movie called Better Call Joe.
There you go.
Think that would work? Somebody ought to do a movie with Better Call on it.
Are you looking at the list? The
whites list? Yeah.
I was going to, you had asked Monica about the type of whites. And we have 4 Albariños. They are all slightly different from each other. Again, they are all good. But I like this one because I get that beautiful peachy, tropical fruit, whatever, that I get both on the nose and the palate, with that little bit of zippiness on the palate. And oh, by the way, the perfect recipe for this is my prosciutto wrapped prawns that we do,
yes, please.
with a big leaf of basil stuck on it after you've done cooking it. Because we've done this several times with other people and to see what it works good with for foods. And the prawns work perfect with the Albariño. The wine shows off the prawns. It draws that flavor out.
To do a cookbook, you know, like David to put his recipes down, and for you to match your wines with that. I was imagining sitting under one of the trees on your shirt.
Oh. Yeah, I wish I had those out back tonight. The other wine to have with those prosciutto wrapped prawns, is the Dunham Syrah, which is on the list. And what it does is it brings out the prosciutto. And it's done over a grill, so you got a little bit of char on the prosciutto, and that works well with that Dunham Syrah. So you can drink a white or a red with that appetizer, or if you do enough of them, it can be a main dish because they're kind of filling.
I kind of feel like we're gonna have to do another one, like for red wines.
Monica, you are reading my mind. I was sitting here going like, when can we do another one of these? Because I would love it. I really am genuinely learning stuff, which is so nice about someone who doesn't know anything about wine. And then on top of that, I have Joe who just gives me stuff that he knows that I like. which is great. But it is nice to learn about, like the color and the legs and the, all those things like that. But yes, I was definitely thinking, when's the next one?
It's the next episode of Call Joe.
Yes.
Joe knows best.
Right.
Well, it's really better if the food's there and you're doing it with the food. And I'm aching for the day when we can get together again and have that, get a group of friends together and you cook up some foods, and then you want to show them how this works with wine. Oh, it can make for a wonderful evening.
Well, it will happen again.
You think?
At some point in our future, it will. But in the meantime, I'm still loving this. I don't know about you guys.
We're working with what we got,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, Joe, you were saying you have the list of the other wines,
Yes.
white wines that we have.
Okay.
Yes, I remember that. That was like 4 minutes
Okay.
ago.
Well done.
Yeah. So in white wines, we have 4 Albariños. We have 3 different Sauvignon Blancs. We have 3 different Pinot Gris, 2 Rosés, a Viognier, and a white blend.
Could you maybe we talked about the whites and the rosés, can you summarize a little bit about some of the other wines that people can expect to find in our wine sale?
11 different reds of primary grape varietals and 6 different red blends. We're red centric because that's what we sell at this event. And we got lots of different types of wines. So you can notice a red wine will change its character more noticeably than a white wine will. So you can just sit there and you can just taste these changes that are going on in a red wine. And that's what's really nice about a really good red wine. You can just see it, or actually, well, not see it, but you can experience the change that's going on as it's being exposed to oxygen, which changes all those things that are in the wine.
Well, don't give it all away, Joe.
Yes.
I feel like, our wine is just about gone. We've learned a lot about whites, rosés, and started into the reds, as well as learned about how we can access the wines that will be available for the sale. People can essentially pre-order on our website that you can find at www.gallery-1.org and pre-order those for pickup on June 13th. And we're thinking we're doing like a drive-by situation, right? We're driving through the alley. So we'll send pickup instructions after purchase so that people can cruise by through the alley that is between Pearl and Pine and 4th and 5th, where our alley is. And most likely it will be Joe himself and Anita and other board members that will be fulfilling these orders.
And we will be wearing our masks. We will be following protocol because that's important.
And we're asking everybody to also wear their masks and to bring
Gloves.
their ID so that we can confirm that they are indeed the person who made the purchase that is over 21.
Listen,
Right.
this is a long video. If you have made it this far, I'm impressed that you've watched this whole thing. Even though we think we're great, obviously we're enjoying it because we've had plenty of wine. There are discounts available for the wine sale. You'll see that all over the website. You can't miss it for anything. And then I would say stay tuned for part 2 of our wine tasting in reds. And I'm sure we'll come up with a reason to do more.
Thank you, Joe, for illuminating on all of your knowledge.
I now know why Sarah dressed up so much for this. It actually is being recorded. You know, if we didn't have the gravel in the back, outside of the back courtyard, we could have not car hops, but wine hops. Yeah, we just sit here. I was painting the house the other day, for God's sakes. What got into me?
Yeah, just call Joe. Like, get him water.
All you got to do is practice. That's the good part.
Oh, that sounds good.
Practice.
I like practice.
I have a lot of days when my smeller, I swear, does not work.
That's a good description. That's what it feels like.
Zippy, zingy.
Mm-hmm.
Like zippity doodah.
Yeah. Zippity doo dah. Fill my glass.
Zippity doo dah. I made sure I didn't eat anything before we did this.